Shocking betrayal. Dramatic inheritance battle at Winterfell Estate. Welcome back to Fame Finder. If you're new here, make sure to subscribe, like this video, and comment your thoughts below. The grand gilded halls of Winterfell Estate are usually filled with dignified tranquility, but on this fateful day an electric tension hung in the air as Lady Louise, the noble heir, dropped a bombshell announcement that would send shockwaves through her family's legacy. It all began with an ominous sign. Haaz, Lady Louise's longtime confidant and presumed inheritor of the estate, was seen doubled over, coughing violently and spitting up crimson droplets onto the pristine marble floors. Servants whispered in concern. Was this sickly display a sign that Haaz's days were numbered? How would this impact the future of the Winterfell legacy? With all eyes on her, Lady Louise rose from her ornate throne, her regal posture betraying none of the turmoil within. "My loyal subjects," she began, her voice steady and unyielding, "it is with a heavy heart that I must deliver news that will shake the very foundations of this estate." She paused, allowing anticipation to build before delivering the fatal bombshell. "I have decided to revoke Haaz's claim to inherit Winterfell." The reaction was immediate and explosive. Haaz staggered backward, his face a mask of shock and disbelief. The assembled nobles erupted into a cacophony of gasps and murmurs, their eyes darting between Lady Louise and Haaz, seeking some clue as to the reason behind this stunning reversal of fortune. Lady Louise raised a hand, silencing the din with grace. "I know this comes as a shock to all of you," she continued, "but I have come to the inescapable conclusion that Haaz is unfit to carry on the Winterfell legacy. His recent transgressions have called into question his loyalty and his character, and I can no longer entrust him with the future of this estate." Haaz's eyes narrowed, and for a moment it seemed as though he might challenge Lady Louise's pronouncement, but the sickly pallor of his skin and the trembling of his hands betrayed his weakened state. Whatever transgressions Lady Louise was referring to, it was clear that Haaz was in no condition to mount a vigorous defense. The tension in the hall was palpable, as the assembled nobles waited with bated breath for Haaz's response. Would he accept Lady Louise's decision with grace and dignity, or would he lash out in a desperate attempt to cling to the inheritance he had expected to receive? Haaz's shoulders slumped, and for a moment it seemed as though he might simply capitulate. But then a spark of defiance flared in his eyes, and he stepped forward, his voice quavering but resolute. "Lady Louise," he said, "I must protest this decision. I have served this estate faithfully for years, and have never once betrayed the trust placed in me. Whatever transgressions you believe I have committed, I assure you they are nothing more than baseless rumors and innuendo." Lady Louise's brow furrowed, and she fixed Haaz with a piercing gaze. "Baseless rumors, you say?" she replied, her voice dripping with disdain. "Then perhaps you can explain the incident in the West Wing, where you were seen in the company of a certain lady who is not your wife." A collective gasp swept through the hall. Haaz's face drained of color, and for a moment it seemed as though he might collapse. "A misunderstanding," he stammered. "Misunderstanding?" Lady Louise scoffed. "I think not. The evidence is clear, Haaz, and I cannot in good conscience allow someone with such a flagrant disregard for his duties and vows to inherit this estate." Haaz opened his mouth to protest, but Lady Louise raised a hand to silence him. "This decision is final," she said, her voice brooking no argument. "Winterfell will pass to my nephew, Lord Eustace, upon my passing. Haaz, you are hereby stripped of all claim to the estate and must vacate the premises immediately." The hall erupted into a frenzy of whispers and murmurs as the assembled nobles tried to make sense of the stunning turn of events. Haaz stood there, his face a mask of defeat as the reality of his situation sank in. As Haaz was escorted from the hall, Lady Louise turned to the gathered throng, her eyes cold and unyielding. "Let this be a lesson to all of you," she said, her voice tinged with a warning. Loyalty and honor are the bedrock upon which this estate has been built, and I will not tolerate any who seek to undermine those values. The future of Winterfell is at stake, and I will do whatever it takes to ensure it remains in the hands of those worthy of its legacy.